Flex your business with an American Express Business Gold Card. You'll earn 4 times membership rewards points on your top 2 eligible spending categories, like transit and electronics, each month, on up to $150K in combined purchases per year. Plus, you can now earn 3 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at AmericanExpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold, built for business by American Express.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Kroger for thousands of appetizing ingredients that inspire countless mouth-watering meals. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices. Plus, extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week and up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with points. So you can get big flavors and big savings. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
I think this film got a lot of flack when it came out to be like, oh, it's anti-male and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, it's just about 2 females. Like, shut up.
You're listening to episode 102. Hello, film fans. In our studio today, we have Sam.
Hello.
Kelly.
Hello.
And as always, Kobe.
Howdy.
And we are reviewing their 1991 Ridley Scott classic, Thelma and Louise.
As always, guys, we have all the show notes online at flixwatcher.tv for all the episodes, so please come and visit us there. Of course, join us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod, and please come to iTunes, rate us, and subscribe.
Warning, there will be spoilers, there will be bad language. As always, the films that we're reviewing were available to stream at the time of recording. Hello and welcome to this episode of Flixwatcher Podcast. In the studio today, we have Sam and Kelly from the Curzon Film Podcast. If you would like to say hello and tell everyone a little bit more about your podcast, please.
Hello. So we do the Curzon Podcast, which is a weekly podcast. So every Friday, we tackle the new releases that are playing in Curzon cinemas and on Curzon Home Cinema. So we talk about a new release of that week or 2 releases that week. And we also have special guests. In the past, we've had Greta Gerwig, Ciarán McKellen, Paul Dano, Willem Dafoe, Sean Baker,
Jason Reitman.
Kobe.
Kobe's been on. Was it First Man you were on for?
I was on for First Man.
Yeah.
Where did that feature in your top 10 films of 2018 in the end?
It wasn't in the overall one. It didn't make it. It made mine. I think it was on my 9th or something. It was definitely in mine.
Top 20 on mine.
Top 20 yours. It was strong. Well, I don't know.
didn't see it. I missed that one. I heard it was a bit boring.
No,
it's good.
You heard wrong.
Yeah, you heard from the wrong people.
Yeah. Who are you hanging out with?
Which people are you talking to?
Hang with us, Helen.
But yeah, definitely see in the cinema. I think.
Yeah.
I've missed that now,
Yeah.
haven't I?
It'll come out again. Prince Charles will bring it out. We're talking today about, Thelma and Louise, which is your choice, Sam.
It is my choice.
Can you tell us why you chose it and give us a 2-minute synopsis?
Sure. So, to be honest, I picked it because when you asked me what was the last thing you watched on Netflix, the answer was Thelma and Louise. But I'm glad that was the answer because it's a film...
Because it could have been embarrassing.
Because it could have been an embarrassing answer, yeah.
Don't ask him now what the last one is.
And luckily, I love that film. And I've seen it once before, and then I watched it again to show Kelly on Netflix.
So this is your first time?
Yeah. It was my first time.
And it was, for me, it was about 7 years apart, so quite a long time between viewings. And I think it's a film that people forget how great it is. So this is Ridley Scott's film written by Callie Khouri about 2 women, Thelma and Louise, both living not to their fullest potential in Arkansas, and they go for a girls' weekend away, which goes horribly wrong when they kill a man in self-defense and then are forced to go on the run. And as they're going cross-country, they are being chased by the police, led by Harvey Keitel. They run into a very attractive Brad Pitt. And
that's all he is
various
in the
other
movie.
obstacles on the way.
We'll get into Brad Pitt chat later on, I think.
Well, you say Brad Pitt.
Did you say Brad Pitt's abs?
No.
I mean, it could have been George Clooney.
Was that who it was supposed to be?
He auditioned the most. I mean, it could have been quite a few people, but...
Okay, who else was on? Let's go to Brad Pitt and his abs.
Let's jump in. JD.
I think it was Geena Davis who kind of clinched it for him. She was like, I want that one.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to her at the end of the day, I suppose, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
like the
Geena,
blonde
who do you
one,
want
I'll be
to
on.
who do you want to prance around with?
And she was supposed to have a body double do the sex scene, and she's like, "That's all right,
I'll do
I'll
that
do it."
I'll save you guys some money.
Yeah.
I'll take this one for the team. Okay,
yeah, exactly.
I'll do it.
The one thing I'll say is he's quite skinny in this, isn't he?
He's very skinny.
It's quite scrawny.
Yeah. He was like in Snatch. Remember in Snatch, he's quite sort of skinny and sort of greyhoundy in his body, sort of muscular but thin.
Yeah,
But
lean.
what was it like in Fight Club?
Kind of the same.
Kind of the same. Maybe
Yeah.
he's
No,
always
it was
been.
quite more. I think it filled out a little bit. No,
Yeah.
Fight Club.
For some reason, I just thought he's
He's bigger
quite,
a little
quite
bit.
big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. No, he's quite scrawny in this one.
It's weird because he's always eating.
That's just Ocean's 11.
In
That's Ocean's.
most films, he's eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just there with a big man all the time. Nom, nom, nom. Brad Pitt's first film. Let's get out of the way. Big film, I guess, the breakout film for him.
Yeah.
I guess it must have been just a bit of a fluff character at the time. No one kind of... I mean, I'm going to talk about a few of the characters in this, but a few of the actors in this. But for Brad Pitt, he was probably the person that just thought, he looks quite pretty, get him in the film, get him out, and no one could really have appreciated the kind of trajectory he would have taken. And I think it was we've had Seven on here recently, and that was probably the film that cemented him as like, oh, this guy, he can actually act. He's not just a 6-pack or 8-pack, or however you choose to count it.
Not just a pretty face.
Not just a pretty face. Yeah, that's a roundabout way of me saying it.
Yeah, I love it. Little did they hired this guy. He probably did like 2 or 3 days of filming. Little did they know they changed America.
But yeah, he plays a crucial role in this.
It is pretty crucial, actually, and that's what I'd forgotten since my first viewing. How that he comes back, because I remembered it. He comes in, he sleeps with Geena Davis, and then he goes. I forgot that A, he takes the money, and B, he's kind of he's the reason that the police find out where they are, isn't he?
Yeah,
Partly,
they're going towards Mexico.
Yeah.
And also he gives Geena Davis the idea and Patter just how to steal, how to be an armed robber.
Yeah.
And I also love that he gets his
His abs out.
his abs out. Yeah, I like that. But no, that he sort of makes it known to Geena Davis's husband that he's slept with his wife. That's the best part.
But let's take it back to the start bit. This is obviously female-led film back in the early 90s. Not that common, but at the same time not out of the realms of ordinary. But this is still like an iconic film. With, I mean, you had Working Girl, which is 80s film, and
9 to 5.
9 to 5.
Yeah.
But it was few and far between.
Well, it was also the same year as kind of Terminator 2, and we just had kind of Aliens as well. So it was sort of
Ripley and
it kind of was almost heralding a new era of Hollywood, but then it just never really happened after that. We kind of had these 3 films which women were the main characters, and great written characters, and everyone thought, oh, this could be a new thing, and then it just didn't really. It went back to the same old man stuff.
Same year as Silence of the Lambs as well. So again, another very, very sort of strong female lead.
Which is the one Oscar that it didn't win.
Yeah.
This was the screenplay.
Yeah.
And that one, was it adapted?
Yeah, so this, I think...
I'm sorry, I didn't know why I'm
Thelma
looking
and
at you.
Louise
Yeah.
were
So
nominated for the same awards at the Oscars that year, and Silence of the Lambs won everything, but this managed to take away original screenplay.
That was it. Yeah.
we've had a quick look. I'm not gonna lie to you, dear listener. We've got IMDb up to find out because Callie Khouri.
I knew her from Nashville, to be honest.
From where?
Nashville.
Okay.
Quite like Nashville.
The TV show.
Yeah.
So she wrote it, which is super important in this. And I was quite surprised in this day and age. Well, it was Ridley Scott. This is a Ridley Scott film.
Yeah.
But he seems to have directed this in such a fantastic way for Thelma and Louise. And it always surprises me what kind of films Ridley Scott gets involved in. And
it's a pretty mixed bag.
It's a pretty mixed bag, but it's diverse. So he's got Aliens, he's got, Gladiator, but he's also got films where he's shown to have some kind of sensibility. The Martian as well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of crazy, but I still feel I would have loved to have seen a female director.
I agree.
Behind this. But I don't know what they would have done differently necessarily. So, but he seems to have played it quite well.
Yeah, I think maybe there would have been less of Harvey Keitel, white and knight in shining armor. Kind of, there would have been less focus on that.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. I still think he did a good job, though.
Yeah.
I think he works in close collaboration with both the actresses and the writer. So I think Callie Khouri and Susan Sarandon, as well as Geena Davis, I think they collaborated quite a lot on their characters and the story. And I know that he wanted to change it. They keep the ending as well, which exactly.
a lot of people were not keen on.
Yeah. And she was really adamant. Callie Khouri was very adamant that was the ending. I think there was two. There was an alternative ending. Have you seen the alternative ending?
No,
there is one.
It's on the
there's
DVD.
an alternative ending. They shot it. Yeah, it was the car descending down the Grand Canyon, and everybody's sort of reaction to that. But they decided to go with the freeze frame, which is a little bit more of an upbeat end.
Oh, okay.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
So they do fly off in the alternate.
They do fly off and go down, and you see the car sort of descend. But he was true to the script, and I think that he worked closely with his female collaborators, which it shows. This film is it feels like a labor of love and authentic story that's true to its art, I think.
And I think with what Ridley Scott did before this is a real change of pace for him. So he'd done Alien and Blade Runner and Black Rain and what's the one with Tom Cruise? One with the Prince of Darkness with the big Tim Curry's got like a big devil horns in it.
I don't know. I was thinking I'm not really a Ridley Scott completist, but he's just literally done.
I'm intrigued now.
A fuck ton of films.
What film is this called?
Whilst we're looking for this, let's go back to the Harvey Keitel bit, because that's a bit I really did not understand. I really didn't get. I can get that he's chasing her because she's like killed a guy.
Yeah.
She's chasing because they've killed a guy. But at the same time, this whole
legend.
This whole thing of like I'm rooting for you. I really want you to kind of get away.
Weird.
But, it's just it's like what's kind of going on there?
He's a bit of a sort of unnecessary good guy, I suppose.
Not all the men are bad in the film.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for.
Michael Madsen was all right.
Yeah, he was all right.
He's kind of a nice guy.
After his little violent tantrum.
Yeah.
He's all right.
He's another one, actually, I've never thought of Michael Madsen as a handsome man before until I saw this film. I've always thought of him, he's just a sort of...
character actor.
He's a sort of he looks like an ex-con. And
It's a psycho from Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, exactly. But I think in here, I was like, actually, he's quite good looking, and he's kind of nice in a weird way. But this is the year before Reservoir Dogs.
It is, and I presume a lot of drugs and alcohol as well,
Yeah, I guess
which
so,
followed subsequently.
Yeah. But going back to what I was saying, so the film was Legend, which is a crazy film. But anyway, so he'd done all these very stylistic, sort of visually moody films where they had these incredible sets and camera angles, and they're really sort of operatic in a way. And here he's very, it generally looks like he's taken a step back as a director and sort of said to Callie Khouri's script is the selling point of this film, and these actresses are the selling point of this film. I need to push them to the front and let them do the work for me in a way. Like, I'm just going to make it look as good as I can without getting too involved in everything that's going on. And I think Ridley Scott does have a tendency to kind of take a good script and Ridley Scottify it by not ruining it, but making it less good, but just doing exactly what he wants to do with it. Like, Robin Hood was originally a script called Nottingham, and it was Robin Hood, but all from the point of view of the Sheriff of Nottingham.
Right.
And it was it was on the blacklist for many years and really highly talked about. This is really unique take on Robin Hood. And he got it and thought, this could be interesting. But what if it was just Robin Hood?
So I've not seen that film because every report is...
Yeah, I'm not going to see that.
It's toss.
Yeah.
I mean, he still does his good... The Martian's still a good film, but then
he can still bring it back.
And it's bookended by... people have different opinions of the Alien, Prometheus and Covenant, but Robin Hood's not a good film.
No.
Some people love Gladiator, some people hate it. So it's very much of a mixed bag director, but this is, I guess, hands down one of a classic one for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Where were Geena Davis and Susan Sarandon at that point?
They were pretty old. Well, I mean, in terms of kind of Hollywood, Susan Sarandon was 44?
45, I think.
45?
And Geena Davis was 30. I think they were 10 years apart.
Yeah. I mean, they look younger. I mean, Geena Davis, she could have been 19 in this.
Yeah, they both look incredible. Yeah.
But I guess even at that point, to be two leading ladies, and at that age, if you think about films now, if someone said, oh, we want to do kind of a female road movie, our two leads are 45 and 35, someone would be like, oh, we're just going to find you some actresses in their 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
no money.
Yeah. I mean, let's say that there's obviously the loads of people again who it could have been, but Holly Hunter and Frances McDormand were the two favourites, and it could have been Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn as well.
Oh, so they had like the pairings, did they?
There's quite a lot of them, but I think definitely Holly Hunter and Frances McDormand were a favourite for a long time, and then Geena Davis was attached for quite a while as well.
Because Geena's like, well, both of them you just know Geena Davis and Susan Sarandon. For me, Geena Davis is like Beetlejuice for me. She's
same for me. She's exactly like, the same.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Like, can't be touched with Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
And in this, Thelma is such I don't want to say ditz, but she's like, she makes all these stupid choices, like letting JD into the room and then letting him have a shower when there's like $7,000 worth of money lying around. You just kind of think, what are you doing? But Geena Davis plays her so well. It's like, you forget how good an actor.
Yeah, and she's never been allowed to make these kind of mistakes in her life because she's been with her husband Daryl for I think since they were like 13 they've been together, you're supposed to infer. And she's never been, it feels like she's never let out the house to do anything to learn to make these mistakes and to grow as a person.
She plays she does, and I think she's the one that obviously goes through the most change in the film. She's the one with the sort of transformation and an awakening. I think she's just naive and open and trusting and sort of the opposite of Louise, who's hardened and sort of cynical, and they both sort of go through their own arcs in this film, and they bring out the different traits in each other, sort of.
Yeah, this feels like it's also the kind of the last Geena Davis film that was really big, and I don't know. I'm trying to think of what else she did after this.
She did the pirate film.
Yeah.
Cutthroat Island.
Yeah,
Island, which was
that was with Rennie Harlin.
Yeah,
so she married
married
him, and she did the Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah, which was a box office bomb.
Yeah.
Because Cutthroat Island sank that studio, didn't it? So she probably was like, "You're not working anymore."
Two after this, she had so her big films after this, which would have been The Long Kiss Goodnight and Cutthroat Island, were both box office bombs, and then she's kind of.
What's that baseball movie she made?
League of Their Own, but that was 92, or something like that. But
I love that. Oh, by the way, R.I.P. Penny Marshall.
R.I.P. Penny Marshall, absolutely.
But I love A League of Their Own as well. She's amazing in that one. It's a good film watching recently.
But then she kind of took she's more of an activist now, isn't she?
She is.
And
really
archery champion as well.
Archery?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's really good at archery. Wow.
So she's leading a happy life, is what you're saying. That's what I want.
I mean, she is, but not really in Hollywood much these days.
She's a big campaigner for like women's rights and sort of equality in pay and things like that, which you'd expect from Thelma. I think.
Which you should expect from everyone who lives ever.
Yeah.
I mean, we start. I don't know. It's not really particularly a Me Too-y type film, but it starts off at the main kind of denouement at the start of the film is that there's an attempted rape. This is more extreme than a lot of the Me Too stories going on, but it's still a rough kind of start to the film, shortly followed by the death of Harlan, it's a very tough start to the film, and then that follows through to the rest of the through line.
And it's more so the story that they can't go to the police because no one would believe them.
That's
what sets them out on the road.
It's an interesting one to watch nowadays. Especially for the first viewing. You sort of watch and you go, "What?" Like you forget that's
how it
was a reality
been.
and still is in some ways. Hopefully now. Getting a bit better, but yeah, I mean, Louise even says at one point, she was like, "What are you going to say? Everybody saw you dancing cheek to cheek with him. They're not going to believe you. We don't live in that kind of a world." And you kind of go, "Shit, that was actually that's true.
Yeah.
They couldn't go to the pool. What were they going to say? But on the flip side, I think they also show, the only other kind of major speaking role for a woman is the waitress, where Harvey Keitel's character interviews her and she's like, "Oh, he had it coming." Like she's the one. Yeah. She knew someone was going to kill that guy.
Yeah.
But interesting that they play that guy was trash from the beginning.
Right from the start.
I was just going to say, we're not mentioning it yet. They invented the selfie.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I was going to say, was this the first time we ever saw a selfie on film?
Yeah, kind of. I think so. And then they did it really cute again. Was it like a year or two ago?
Cute.
Yeah, which is really sweet.
Yeah, and
They were together at
was
something.
that the thing where it says, "Where would Thelma and Louise be now?"
Yeah.
Something like that.
At the bottom
They
of the
took
Grand
it with
Canyon,
them.
basically.
Dead.
They survived.
Did they? I like this film. I've only seen it. I think I've maybe seen it twice before, and like yourself, like 7 years apart. So I'd forgotten about the money going. I remember Brad Pitt being there. I didn't kind of remember how the two things happened. One thing that again I forgot about in this film was like you see at the start, Thelma's packing to go away. It's quite funny. She's packing for so much for just a weekend, and she pulls the gun out, holds it by the nose, and like drops it into the bag. But then you think, okay, oh yeah, there is a gun. Someone does die, and I thought it was going to be later on in the film.
It's quite quickly.
It's very early on.
Very, so it's not even a Chekhov's gun. It's just like there's a gun. It's going to be used. Bang. That's the
Get
film.
out of the way.
That's the film.
Yeah.
Like running off. You don't see that much these days.
No, I think other films would try and tease that a bit more. This one gets that very quickly. Yeah, like you say, I'd forgotten how quickly that main sort of plot point kicks in.
Well, it's an inciting incident. Yeah.
Yeah, it happens very early on.
Yeah.
Something else I'd really forgotten that I really enjoyed watching this time was Daryl.
He's so
he's
funny,
really funny.
Christopher McDonald.
Yeah, I'd completely forgotten that character was that much of a big part in it and how funny he is.
Did you know that they were engaged? Geena Davis was engaged to him before.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, did you know that? And she didn't know that he'd been sort of cast.
Oh, God.
And then they were like, "Oh, you're right with it." And they were both like, "Ah." And they found it both quite cathartic
can
to be
imagine,
in a weird, horrible marriage. They were like, "Yeah, we made the right choice." Yeah, they were engaged.
Because
He's funny though.
she was with Jeff Goldblum for a long time, wasn't she?
Yeah, after him.
What
yeah.
a great couple.
Or Goldblum and Geena.
Goldblum and Geena, yeah. Tall couple.
That was in Earth Girls
Girls Are Easy.
Yeah.
And The Fly.
Oh shit.
And there was another film as well, wasn't there?
I'm not sure.
They may have been with it in another film together.
Was he in Greece?
Who?
He is in. I think he's in Grease 2.
It's Greece 2.
Yeah.
No, not Grease 1. No, he's in. I'll tell you what he is in. A weird reference, but he's the dad in Leave It to Beaver. I don't know if anybody's ever seen that film.
We
I
never
love
got that.
film.
Oh yeah, Happy Gilmore.
Oh yeah, he's
Oh,
the.
yes.
I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast.
You only pieces of shit.
for breakfast?
Yeah, I think what I thought I thought it was funnier than I remember. So I've seen it quite a few times,
Yeah.
but not for a while. And I just seem to think in my memory that it was funnier, but it's not that
They're
funny.
moments. They're
Sort
moments.
of,
Like
but I thought
Deep
it was
Shit,
more-
Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Daryl watching
Daryl's
the tape
funny.
of her robbing the convenience store is so funny. But what does he say? Well, I can't remember the line. It's like, "Good Lord," or something like that.
Yeah, they all
They're
say
all like,
something
Jesus
like that.
Christ.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Good Lord.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Stephen Tobolowsky's in there as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Which is like how could, because every time you see him in anything now, he's got a really put on accent.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yes.
if this is his fake accent or this is a real accent in this, but he's always got a really kind of like
He's really amped it up, isn't
Yeah,
it?
that-
Is he in
absolutely.
Groundhog Day?
Groundhog
Yes,
Day.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very quotable film, isn't it, though? Like the lines that you forget how many quotable lines
Yeah.
that there are in the film.
Yeah, I love Louise's introduction where she tells the girl, "Don't smoke; it will, it ruins your sex drive." And then the next shot is her smoking in the kitchen.
Yeah, exactly.
And also it's been such a kind of pop culture influence as well. I mean, obviously like The Simpsons and
Oh yeah,
just so many other films as well.
Is it always that shot though? They always recreate the final.
Pretty much. Was it in Wayne's World as well, or Wayne's
Yeah.
World
Wayne's
2?
World. Leon Herring did a version of it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a super iconic film, and
yeah,
I think it's a bit of a crying shame that not been more.
yeah.
That's the
films
biggest
like
problem
this.
with this. There's not been more films.
Yeah,
I think it's starting to happen now. Annihilation.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's still
don't know.
kind of a bit of a man film, but yeah. I mean, we're kind of getting there. I think maybe
I think so. I hope so.
we can only hope.
Yeah,
But I guess it doesn't have to be a female-driven film. It just has to be led by more films led by ladies.
yeah,
just like-
So like Bird Box, for example, is like
yeah.
Just like
That could
have
be-
real women in movies. Like make
exactly. That's
make
what I
it a
mean.
norm. Like that's the thing is I think this film got a lot of slack when it came out. Flack, sorry, not slack. Flack. When it came out to be like, oh, it's anti-male and blah blah blah. And it's like, no, it's just about two females. Like, shut up, shut the fuck up. Like,
I think the thing is as well about having female characters in a film where the plot doesn't. The plot does revolve around the fact that they are women, which is good because it's saying that things need to be said. But I think something to move towards is having female characters, like in Annihilation, where it's not part of the plot that they're women. Like they are just women because women do exist and do these things as well as men.
wow, what?
I know. Shocking.
Sorry, I fell asleep. What were you saying? Did you say that one more time? I just want to make sure I heard what you said properly. But yeah, we just need more, and it's getting that way. It's getting better.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Bird Box is the best example.
I've not seen it yet.
Me neither.
It's all right.
I mean, that's what most people have said. Everyone who's seen it has gone,
Yeah.
it's all right.
Is there anything else you want to talk about, guys, before we head to the scores?
Maybe quickly, just a bit more
Sure.
on the ending.
Yeah.
Because I think that's the part that people remember the most about this film, and it's something that's really burnt into like American film culture. And it's the kind of Butch and Sundance moment where
Yes.
they're kind of two friends that realize there's no other way for them, and why not just go out? And I think they realize that I don't know if they say it, but they say something akin to this, that they've been the love of their lives really all along. Like they've all these men that have kind of got in their way and kind of in some cases ruined their lives. They should have just been the two of them the whole time, not in a romantic way, but they're just happy being the two of them, and there's no way for that to happen anymore after everything that's gone through. And it's just a really beautiful way to end this film.
Do you think when I watch films that were set over like a short period of time and then there's like a massive like step change in the outcome, do you think they should have, I don't know, is that realistic, do you think, to be flying off the Grand Canyon, no matter all the things that did transpire?
I mean,
Maybe.
they've gone pretty far.
They go far.
I think maybe if they hadn't have blown the truck up or robbed the wherever she
Policeman.
robbed policeman, yeah,
Yeah.
and then put a policeman in the trunk of a car, or they just kind of had enough of running. I don't know.
In the sense of the movie, I think it makes total sense. In terms of the movie, it makes total sense in the narrative, and it is kind of just that it's a movie magic moment.
Yeah.
You know, like I think it's one of those that you're like, I'm prepared to suspend my disbelief and think, oh, would this really happen?
Yeah.
Would these two people do this? And I think it's one of those that like just goes, that's a movie, man, and that's what makes movies great. That you can live out these fantasies and it's all right. You know,
With Harvey Keitel running after you.
Yeah.
slow-mo.
I do think that shouldn't be in slow motion. That doesn't ruin it. But
Harvey
it's a bit-
Keitel just as great as he is, just shouldn't be in the film.
I could do without the slow motion on a repeat viewing, but it's an amazing ending. It's a real exclamation point to the film, and I don't know another ending that I would have been happy with. Like if they get arrested, that's such a bummer ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to see them die would also be really just depressing, having spent this time with them and seen what they can do and what they have done.
Yeah.
I can't imagine it ending any other way.
And also them giving themselves in and then going, yeah, we believe you. Fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Would have not worked either.
But also they had no, I mean, she would have gone to jail. It was as much as it
Well, they
was.
both would have gone, yeah.
They would have, yeah, as much as it was in defense of Thelma, they could have gotten away. Like, you know, it's her past trauma that came back
Yeah,
up. That
exactly,
sort of, which in and of
When he
itself is a
says what he
tragedy.
says to
But
them.
it's cold-blooded murder.
Yeah.
What she did was wrong. You know, even though the guy deserved to go away, he was murdered.
Yeah.
So I do think that there is no other way out of that situation.
And it's one of those. It's like when E.T. flies over the moon. It's like where I don't know, when Darth Vader says, "Luke, I'm your father." It's just a moment that's instantly, oh, that's a major moment now.
Yeah.
Now, every time someone makes a film or writes a film, this is going to be one of the moments that they think of. When someone makes a list of the greatest moments in film, I think immediately the end of Thelma and Louise is one that comes to mind.
I think it's one of the strongest endings ever. I mean, we had 7 on here. If you don't know the end of 7, it's powerful. We're not going to spoil it.
What's in the box? Every time someone says, "Oh, what's in the box?" I immediately think of.
We're not going to.
Sorry.
Yeah. But it's not as it's not as like there's no one shot that defines it. It's all about the dialogue. It's all about the build-up. It's all about the tension and release of tension. But this is like it's either them holding the hands or it's the car going into the air. And either one of those shots is like, you know which film it is, you know what's happened, you know it's the end of it, and you know what's built up to that. And that's just like that's a powerful capturing in celluloid, because it was celluloid then.
Absolutely.
No digital. Should we head to the scores?
Let's head to the scores.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
So Flixwatcher scores, they're all out of 5. You may have a decimal place. You may have a 0, but I think zeros are unlikely in this case, but you never know. And starting with recommendability, and we'll go to you, Sam, as this is your choice.
Recommendability, I think I'll go 4.75. I held back from a full 5, maybe because watching it again, there are some parts that are a little bit dated, I think. I mentioned it earlier, like some of the slow motion in the end, and maybe some of Harvey Keitel's characters, like you said, I don't really know what that character's doing or why he's doing any of what he's doing. Maybe he's just a genuinely nice guy. It
doesn't need to be Harvey, and it doesn't need to be such a developed part of the story. Yeah. It could just be another.
He's in it more than I remembered him being in it. Yeah. But yeah, I think it's a absolutely astounding film and such a classic that everyone should see it, just so they know what we're talking about.
Kelly.
Yeah, I think it's such a classic. I give it a 5. Just everybody should see it at least once. It's just a classic Hollywood film that you should see, and it's enjoyable. You know, it's not hard to watch. So I would recommend it to everyone, I think.
H.
It is a classic. Although watching it this time, there was bits in it I was like, yeah, that's probably dated a little bit. But then some bits that I picked up on a little bit more. So I don't know. It's kind of a really interesting one because I don't know how you would feel about it coming to it
for the first time
now. Whereas I've seen it quite a few times, so I was kind of watching it, even kind of knowing what everything was going on and watching it for the purpose of kind of making notes and getting the interesting bits. And it's quite long. It's, you know, good 2 hours plus, which I thought it was shorter in my mind. And
so this is where the Harvey Keitel thing, I think it's almost like what you're saying without realising is like make it a bit shorter, make it a bit punchier.
Make it a little bit trimmer.
Maybe, yeah. It's quite long. It's like it's over 2 hours, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 hours 7, I think.
Okay.
Maybe a bit longer. So, I mean, if you haven't seen it, then I completely recommend it, but I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 4.6. I think it's 4.5 for you, 4.6 for me. Harvey Keitel irritated the shit out of me in this film, to be honest with you. And I did find it, I know it's ditzy Thelma, but sometimes I just thought the choices that they were made just like, really? Is that what you, really? And I found them a bit hard to get on. I think this is me thinking in the post kind of like people being a bit more woke but Arkansas, like the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, one kind of mistake and then like another one. And you're a bit like, if I was Louise now, I'd be really
properly pissed.
My life savings.
Yeah.
I'm trying everything to do. Yeah, I mean, that shouldn't really detract. I mean, if you're watching it for the first time, you're probably not going to get too involved in that.
And also, like, one of Small Hills I Die On is things exploding on impact of bullets.
Agree. If they don't have explosive in them in the first place, that shouldn't happen. Yeah, doesn't make sense.
That tanker can't explode like that.
Why has it not got like flammables in?
It has, but it wouldn't take a bullet to ignite it to the extent that it will instantly explode like that. That's just geek.
I mean, I don't think they were expecting it to do that.
No, they weren't. But that's movie magic, as Kelly's saying. That's movie magic. That's like all these things happening. Repeat viewing score. Sam.
Repeat viewing, I will go for a full 5 for this one. Partly because, as I said, this is watching on Netflix is the second time I've seen it, and I forgot how much I loved it watching it again. And Kelly watched it last night. I didn't watch it again, but Kelly watched it, and I saw the opening few title cards and that music. Had their hands in the score start, and I was like, I really like this film a lot. A lot. I could happily just. I was super tired.
Just super tired.
I had a cold as well, but I could have very happily just watched it again. It's that great, and it's not as challenging. It's not like a hard film to watch. It's quite, considering some of the things that happen, it's quite easy to watch and get into. So yeah, full 5 from me.
Callie?
I give this one a 4.3. I will watch it again, because every time you watch it, you kind of remember quotes or lines or moments that are great. But I think it would be one of those that, like, if it were on, I will watch moments and not the whole thing, you know? I'd be happy to sit and watch maybe half an hour but then carry on maybe and come back to it and carry on. So yeah, that's why I give it a 4.3.
I've seen this film loads. I don't know how many times, but I've definitely seen it probably more than about 5 times, maybe slightly more.
It was a huge kind of talking point when it came out. So
did you see it when it came out in cinemas?
No, because I was 11 when this came out, so definitely wouldn't have been allowed to. But when it came on DVD, I guess I would have been potentially get a hold of it.
When it came on Sky, I would have watched it quite a few times. Then I had the DVD and would have watched it on TV a few times when I just had hours back, in the 90s to watch films. So I've got to account for that, but also watching it again, I was surprised how long it felt. I definitely remembered it being not as long. Maybe I just watched like a weird version on ITV where they'd cut out bits or something. I don't know.
Well, we found recently that sometimes Netflix just has like the extended version and they don't tell you.
Yeah, maybe they do.
So maybe let's find out what the theatrical cut was. Because again, you don't remember Harvey Keitel being in so long.
Well, I don't remember Daryl being that funny either.
Yeah. So what's your score, sorry?
I'm going to give it a 3.5.
I'm going to go for 3. I haven't seen it that many times. I don't think I need to watch it so many times. I don't think it's going to be a go-to film for me. It hasn't been a go-to film for me.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to continue to be a go-to film for me. Nothing really distracting away from the fact it's a really cool film. I just think I'm more likely to pick other films to watch. Mm-hmm. This is a once every 3 or 4 years type deal for me. Which I'm translating to 3.4. What did you say? 3.5?
Yeah.
Okay, small screen score.
Small screen score. I go 4.3. I mean, it's hard to say. I've never seen it in the cinema, but maybe some of those wide shots of the Grand Canyon and the helicopter and those sort of more of those overhead shots would be a bit more impressive and a bit more enveloping on the big screen.
There were some cool helicopter shots.
Yeah, I mean the scenery is great as well. I mean it's shot really nicely when they're sort of just driving around.
Yeah, I think they did the road trip well in this film. Didn't they?
Yeah, they used the space around them really well.
Yeah,
and these kind of iconic sort of images of Americana as well.
There's that one bit where they were facing over the edge of the Grand Canyon and the helicopter swooped up.
Oh yeah,
and I was like,
that's a good shot.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah,
that's the cool thing about not watching the films that often. And that
yeah.
But then you see Harvey Keitel's stupid face there, beaming down on there. It's like, Harvey, what are you doing? Sorry, Kelly.
Yeah, difficult to say because also haven't seen it on the big screen, but maybe a 4. Just because I think also the score, just sort of the score would make a difference in the big screen, just as like bringing you in, because there's great music in it as well.
I didn't notice the score that much.
Yeah, I mean it's good.
Does it bring you in?
Good like country music
it's like it Hans Zimmer, isn't it?
It's very Hans Zimmer.
Yeah. So probably a 4. I think I would have liked to have seen some of those wide shots on a big screen. But yeah.
I mean, this is kind of I guess it's kind of maybe a fun experience to have maybe seen in the cinema, but I've only ever seen it on TVs, and I've always, enjoyed that. And also, it's another one of those films that, there are people out there who've never seen it before and might not know it's on Netflix and might be a bit like, well, should I watch it? Should I not?
Like, yes.
Yeah, it's on Netflix, and it's kind of still looks pretty good. So I'm going to give it a 4.5 because I just like the fact that if you ever want to go and watch Thelma and Louise, you can just go and watch it because it's just sitting there waiting for you.
I'm going 3.8. I think some of the shots look really cool. And just how it just looked like a really clean...
It is, yeah.
Really clean image as well. I don't know if I was expecting something properly grainy. But it just looked really cool. One thing you were just saying there, Helen, which made me think, actually would quite like to see in the cinemas what I saw, True Romance, another scored film at the Prince. I saw that
kind of a road trip movie as well.
Kind of a road trip movie. Nowhere near as beautifully shot as this, but seeing that in the cinema was like really cool.
Yeah.
And I think watching this in the cinema to get that collective experience, I think would be
totally.
A nice vibe at the Prince Charles.
I imagine there'd be some audience cheering as well in this one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Audience cheering, drinking, and ladies wearing scarves. Polaroids and stuff. I think it'd be a bit of a riot in the cinema at Prince Charles.
Why have not done that then?
They probably have done. Get
yourself a headscarf.
I'll get a headscarf. Do I not have? I don't have a headscarf. Engagement score. Sam.
Engagement. I go. Engagement. I go 4.5 engagement. Because you love the characters so much, I didn't feel distracted by anything else watching this. I felt really into it and didn't feel like I wanted it to be over, even though it is long. I suppose it doesn't get the full 5 because it's long. Because Keitel. Because Keitel.
Because Keitel.
Also, I think the tone helps as well. The tone's very up and down in this film, but not in a bad way. It's very it diffuses some of the more brutal and gritty moments with moments of humour. And also it's a film about about tender friendship as well. And I think that's the through line for all these through the humour and through the kind of darkness. And that I think really helps pull your attention into it. Because
there is those, even though Thelma is ditzy and she loses the money, she's the one that gains the money again.
Yeah.
And she's the one that saves Louise from the police.
Yeah.
And which is actually this is her going full... This is full Thelma.
I think this is one of the best films about friendship. It's a love story, but with platonic friendship.
Callie.
I'll go a bit lower with engagement and give it a 3.8.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, it is quite long, and so and especially watching it at home, there's a tendency to be like, I'm just gonna go make a cup of tea. And then also, if you know the movie, you're like, I can pause it here. I'll just go to, what I mean, that kind of thing. Even though you love the characters and you are kind of, you do kind of go okay, I'm going to pause it here before this happens so I can whatever. And so I think it's one of those that less likely to sweep you up and take you away with.
Well, you're saying if it was on TV, you'd watch a half hour here and there, and then you get on with your merry way.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Helen.
So I'm going to go for a 4 just because I've seen it so many times, and I did kind of. So this, building up to the bit where this happens, and I was just surprised how long. Honestly, I had it in my mind. It was a much shorter film, or it felt much shorter. I mean, there probably was one time when I saw it when it was 100%, but I think every time I've watched it since, you kind of know which bits are going to happen. And I did get into the trivia.
How many times have you watched it?
I mean, maybe 5 to 10, I guess. Quite a lot. And I did sort of get into the trivia a little bit while I was watching it.
What trivia did you find?
Just about all the different people who could have basically played.
You smattered them through this episode. Sorry.
This is it. Yeah, sorry. I've got it all.
You've got it all. I think for me, it bears well, I've maybe seen this 3 times. I think the first time I would have seen it, I was very young and not had an iota of a clue what was going on. Probably just waiting for them to jump off, because it would have been some kind of Dukes of Hazzard's A-Team type thing for me. And then seeing it later, maybe in the early 20s, and between then and now, there would have been 10 or 15 years. So I think it's really nice because I really had forgotten all the things that happened in it. So this time around, engagement was probably higher on repeat viewing. As long as my memory doesn't fail me, I think it'll be lower. So I'm going to go for 4. Why not? Just give it 4. 4, which gives us an overall rating of 4.25, which is tight.
I think it deserves it.
Yeah, definitely.
Had Harvey Keitel's face not been in it as much, it would have been higher. That's what we're saying.
Yeah.
I didn't remember reading any trivia that he could have been replaced by anyone else, unfortunately.
It was always Keitel.
Yeah, it was always Keitel. He was first choice of Ridley.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, him and Madsen. Was this before Reservoir Dogs?
This was...
Yeah. Probably just before Reservoir.
I imagine, I don't know about when Reservoir Dogs was filmed, but they may have been filmed before this. But this definitely came out one year before Dogs. But I think Dogs may have been shown around some like studios and stuff the year before as well.
He's gathering some traction and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I always think of Harvey Keitel as just a badass through and through. I think he's done some proper comedy films, hasn't he? But he's just like...
Well, he does the direct line adverts now.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
As Winston Wolfe.
Yeah, on that bombshell. Guys, can you let us know... we need to go to Twitter. We always go to Twitter and ask people. We put a little note out saying, in this case, I'm fumbling my words. In this case, we are reviewing Thelma and Louise with KS Powell and Sam Howlett _1 from Curzon Cinemas, the podcast. Have you seen it? Tell us your thoughts for an on-air shout-out. And we had a few people who tweeted. Guys, do you want to take us through? Sam, do you want to lead off?
Sure. So we've got What Were They Thinking podcast, who says 4 stars, great progressive story with 2 strong leads and a cool early appearance from Brad Pitt. People love Brad Pitt. They have to mention him in everything about this film.
What do you Does it take away from it a bit, do you think?
I mean, he's just very spunky and very young. And
it's a real scene stealer.
Yeah. It just, he brings to it kind of the energy that the film needs. And I don't think anyone else could have done it quite so well.
Agreed. Amanda's Pick Show a Go-Go gives it 4 stars. A great road movie about female friendship. What an epic ending.
Yeah.
And the last one we've got is from Top Film Tip. Callow housewife and jaded BFF assert their womanhood in crime spree road trip. Iconic journey of self-discovery. Still remains Ridley Scott's most compelling work. Bittersweet and authentic storytelling that hits you right in the feels. And then we've gone for 5 car/police car images. Nice.
Ridley Scott's most compelling work? I don't know.
I think it's funny Ridley Scott, because I think especially in the late half of his career he's thought of as like kind of a macho filmmaker, like Black Hawk Down, Gladiator, Robin Hood, even The Martian. You know, these are very macho man's films, and yet he's made this film which is one of the most, feels like the most real depiction of female friendship in an unrealistic circumstance.
It's a standout, I think.
It's a real stand-up for him,
I mean,
G.I. Jane as well was one of his.
G.I. Jane, yeah.
I've never seen that.
Haven't you?
No, I've never.
Demi Moore in her prime.
Is that Demi Moore's prime? G.I. Jane?
But isn't there? Did she do striptease? Was it her striptease?
That might have been... No, that's Disclosure, isn't it?
Disclosure.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a very dubious career.
Choices.
What was the one with Robert Redford and Woody Harrelson?
Indecent Proposal.
Yeah, there we go.
And she's the villain of Charlie's Angels 2, Full Throttle.
Oh, that's a film.
That was her comeback year, wasn't it?
Comeback, yeah.
So, guys, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
It's been a pleasure. Can you let everyone let our listener know where they can find you, where he can find you, where she can find you? We don't know who.
Where they can find you.
Yeah, where they can find it, exactly.
They can find us at... what's our podcast?
They can find us...
Sorry.
At Curzon Cinemas is the podcast, yes.
And you can also find us through Acast or iTunes or whatever podcast platform you use.
On Spotify as well.
On Spotify now as well, yeah. We have a new episode every week. You can also go back and listen to some of our back catalogue where Kobe was on talking about First Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which was fun.
Yeah. Helen, you should come on.
Yes, please.
All right, guys. Oh, thank you very much for your time. And, see you guys later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Cheers, guys. You were just listening to the latest episode of Flixwatcher Podcast. Thank you to Brendan Russell for his sublime editing skills, Mighty People for the tunes you can hear right now. Please do come to iTunes and find us, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Find us on Twitter at FlixWatcherPod and our website, flixwatcher.tv.